Hey everybody, thank you for stopping by the channel. Welcome to episode 6 of the Ultimate Tele Build. Alright you guys, we left off in the last episode. This is where our neck was at. I'm sanded up to 320 grit for the most part all over this neck. Since the last video was pretty much all about the neck, we're going to make this episode for the most part all about the body. For now, we just need to lay out a center line. I want a nice discernible line. We want to figure out where our neck's going to fall because I did not make this like a traditional tele. I did use this template as a guideline. So let's get this neck pocket drawn off. This is going to determine where everything else on the guitar gets routed. And what I'm really wanting to make certain of is that our pickguard winds up placed so our adjustment nut is exactly where it needs to be in relation to the end of the neck. And this is really going to tell the story right here. We're going to clamp this neck to the body blank, and I'll line my neck up on the line that we've got right there for our neck pocket route. Let's take a measurement while we've got this thing clamped up and find out exactly how far our adjustment nut is from the end of this neck tenon. 30 millimeters, that's going to be where our truss rod adjustment nut needs to be. Our pickguard is going to need to be placed about 1 millimeter away from that, or 1.5 millimeters or so. And what we'll do is just draw this notch in right there in that area. Let's draw in this single coil, and that will give us an area that we need to hog out over on the drill press. I know my neck pocket's going to need to be 28 millimeters deep finished. So we're going to mark this to 28 millimeters on an end that we have access to right here. So let's get over to the drill press. I'll get the depth stop set so my point ends up about 1 millimeter away from that line. I'm going to clamp this to the table so it doesn't move. I'll grab my router and we'll route this cavity right here 28 millimeters deep. All right, so I forgot to account for the pickguard. So what I'm going to have to do is glue myself some pieces of veneer onto the bottom of my neck blank, which I'm not at all worried about that. It's going to create quite an interesting look, actually. We can do that later. That's not something we have to do right now. We can get all our measurements as it stands. And we're going to mark out 648 millimeters. Okay, our scale length line is dead on where it needs to be now. My neck pocket's lined up where it needs to be. All right, let's get this neck pickup cavity routed. I want to go easy and slow with this because we're taking a pretty deep cut here. All right, you guys, now what we're going to do is pop this template on here. And I've decided that I'm not even going to go over to the drill press and hog this out. We're going to route it. Right now, on this neck pickup, we're at 20 millimeters exactly. So we'll make this one that deep as well, 20 millimeters. And there's our routes. Neck pickup, neck pocket, and bridge pickup. So there we go. It's time to cut this body out, I think. Here we go, finally. It almost looks like a telly. Now let's find us a good router bit here. I want something that cuts nice and clean. This is a compression spiral cut carbide bit. I've used this as a plunge bit before, and I don't really like it as a plunge, but for edge cleaning, I think this is the bit to use. So we're gonna fire up the router. Yeah, that's burning pretty bad up on that end. I think I'm gonna catch the rest of this with the spindle sander, you guys, I really do. So what we're gonna do is pop this template back on here. I'm gonna take an 1/8 inch center punch. Fits nice and snug down in those holes. Love these Maximum Guitar Works templates, you guys. They are perfect. What I'm thinking about doing now is heading over to the bandsaw, cutting off these tabs and going ahead and getting the whole perimeter sanded in. We need to have that done anyway so we can route our binding channel all the way around the body. So there's the perimeter shape, pretty much done. I've got some handwork left to do on it to level everything out and make sure we get a nice even sand on here. I love how that ingrain turned out. I always try to pay attention to that when I'm doing a glue up. I need to make myself a template to route in that control cavity. What I want to do before we move to that though, and I've already talked to you guys about this, I need to extend the depth of this heel. So what I've got here is a stack of veneer. I've got a black, white, black stack. This comes to roughly 2.5 millimeters, a little shy of that. We're gonna glue this up and go ahead and get that glue to the heel of the neck, and while that dries, we're gonna make ourselves a control cavity template for a telly. I'm on a piece of wax paper. I've got a piece of maple wrapped in wax paper. All right, I got squeeze out all the way around, and I'll flush cut that up against the side of that heel that we've already got there, so that'll be fine. So I'm gonna take this piece of plexi right here. This is 8 millimeter thick Lexan or plexiglass, or perspex as they call it. I want it large enough to support the router base. So let's come to 100 millimeters. I'm going to take my scalpel blade with the back of it. I'm going to scratch that line in. I'm going to hop over to the bandsaw and cut that down that line. I'll be right back. From that same factory edge, we'll come to 50. Make myself a mark there. We'll come down here. Make myself a mark there. And I could draw on this, but I want to use this permanently. Same thing, back of our scalpel blade. So what we want to do now is take our control plate, and I want to line those holes up on the center line. Let's take a black or a Sharpie of some sort. Let's use this little felt tip pen if it'll actually draw on this stuff. Let's take just a little super glue. A little activator on the back of our control plate. And we're going to scribe around this line right here. I am going to take this 3/8 inch router bit, I've put a 1/2 inch bearing on this thing, which now makes this an offset. That's going to give me a pattern when I cut into this acrylic that is an 1/8 of an inch smaller than the cover plate actually is. Well, as you can see here, the end does not need to be radius because I need solid wood underneath the two ends to be able to get my screw in there. I want to come 10 millimeters from the end of our control. We want to make ourselves a mark. Same thing down here, right there. Now we can take our protractor, make sure we're perpendicular all the way down. So what we're going to be taking out of here is that area in between those two scribes, minus an 1/8 inch. I don't want to be able to see down into the cavity. So that's the deal. All right, so there we go. I've got a pattern made. What we're going to do now is I'll hop over to the drill press and hog out this material. All right, you guys, so I'm going to take this rasp and just clean up some of these Forstner bit points. And there we go. I got some cleanup work to do, but not bad, mainly just on these ends. And as you can see, I've got a little lip all the way around there. That's going to work out really nice. I've got my control cavity marked out here. We're going to hop over to the drill press, hog this material out, get back over here to the bench, and get this cavity routed. All right, there we go, hogged out nicely. Some 1.25 inch masking tape on both sides of that cavity. Okay, super glue. Yeah, that's good, really good. I'm going to do a tapered belly carve right here, not too deep. And yes, you guys, I know I could get out an angle grinder right now and make quick work of this, but that's not how I do things. I'm filing this far edge off and getting my depth down there. Then I'm raking the shinto back a little bit and flattening this bevel. I don't want a concave shape and I don't want a convex shape. So I'm going to continue to carve this thing. We'll pick back up when I've got that done. I'll see you guys in just a minute. All right, you guys, we're back. I've started carving my relief on the back of the cutaway right here, and I've gotten a good bit of it done actually. What I want to do now is start laying out this body for the bridge, my string through holes, my mounting holes for this. Before I can do that, I need to trim this veneer flush with the edge of the neck right here. I've got my router set up. Let's just get this done real quick. Oh yeah, that's a nice firm neck pocket fit. And I have gotten myself just enough room above, with my fretboard, just enough above the body surface to house the pick guard underneath the fretboard. All right, let's mark 648 millimeters. There's my scale length line. So we're in good shape. My holes are punched in the proper locations. All right, you guys, we're over at the drill press. I've got this body clamped to the table because I do not want this to move. I took my time getting this set up. So let's get this hole drilled. I'm gonna go really, really slow. I don't want to force the drill bit because it will wander. I've got my depth stop set, so it's not going to go all the way through. All right. I've got a line drawn that I followed right here to make sure all my through holes were centered on that line. Now what we're going to do is measure on the center line from the very back of the guitar up to that line. And we're looking at 131 millimeters exactly. We want to be really, really accurate with this. Let's come down here and make another line. Let's take our ruler and mark us a center line down through here. All right. Now what I want to do is measure up from the back of the guitar to 131 millimeters exactly. Now I'm going to take my protractor. I can use my template, line it up on the center line. Now I'm going to take my little center punch. We want these straight up and down. We're right on it. I know I've got these ferrules that need to go down in these holes once we get these drilled in. I would rather drill the big hole first. We're 8 millimeters exactly. What we'll do is drill the 8 millimeter hole, and we'll drill that 8 millimeters deep. We want the lip to ride right up on the edge of that hole, even though these will not be recessed as far as the lip goes. All right, that looks good. Let's drill it. All right, you guys, so there's our ferrule holes drilled in the back, and that line is absolutely straight. I checked it with the protractor. We're good. Here's the really cool thing, and another critical part of this. My holes, all 6 of them, lined up front to back all the way through the body. It is so easy for that to go wrong. Before we do anything else though, I want to drill my jack hole, and I want to get my wiring path drilled in here because that's something that I almost forget. So I'm using a Tele electrosocket jack, the modern style with the 2 screws. I've already got a line drawn to help me stay on track. All right, I'm going to follow that line best I can. Definitely clean where we went in, and that's what really matters. So you can see down in there, I've got a nice hole coming into our cavity. Nice and flush with the edge of the body. All right, I'm in. All right, that wound up perfect. I'm dead in the bottom of that bridge pickup cavity, which is right where I wanted to be. Now what we got to do is take ourselves a path from here over to the control cavity. Now what I want to do is drill a small hole back here near my mounting screws that also goes into my bridge pickup cavity, and we can run our ground wire down through there. Now I can run myself a ground wire from under my bridge through the bridge pickup cavity into my control cavity. All right, you guys, when we left off the other night, this is where we were. I finished up my belly carve back here and gotten it like I wanted it. I've sanded just a little on this thing. I've gotten the rear access behind the cutaway carve like I want it, and as you can see, it's kind of ramped down right there. Super comfortable and smooth. I've made some decisions on finish for this thing. What I'm going to do is sand this entire body up to 220. We'll route in our binding channel, get our binding installed. We'll tape off around our binding strip. I'm going to spray finish the top in either nitrocellulose lacquer or 2K poly, high gloss finish. And then I'll take that tape off and we'll oil finish the sides, the back, and the neck in Osmo hard wax oil satin. That's kind of become a signature of mine to finish my necks that way, so this guitar will be no different. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. I'm trying to kind of deep dive into my process for this thing in case some of you guys who are newcomers to the guitar building world can hopefully pick up some tips and things you need to make it just a little easier or to give you a greater chance of success on your first guitar build. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can stay up to date as we work our way towards completion on this guitar and everything else I've got planned. Don't forget to head over to Gio's channel, give Gio a thumbs up and a subscribe over there as well. I'll see you guys next weekend, and as always, peace and love.